Surprise! It's not Kat. Did you know I made a mistake, Sandy, and didn't realize it? And I just went live as Katerina.
Well,
Simone.
Go. Poor Katerina.
Surprise. Yeah. Surprise to everyone that thought they were getting Kat tonight because you're stuck with Nick. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tuesday Night Mindset, Mindfulness, Mental Health and Mindfulness. And we have the amazing Sandra Bartlett here, as usual, on the third Tuesday of the month. I'm amazed to have you. Thank you very much for coming again, Sandy.
Thank you, Nick. It's always great to be in this room, and I'm loving the feeds that are going on in this group at the moment, and I'm loving being part of the new walk challenge. It's great.
Water and walk is killing it. I haven't actually put my pictures up, but I promise you they're right here. I took the human for a walk today in the rain. Took the little man for a walk today in the rain. He took his bike, but
Nick, they're not real unless they're on Facebook. Come on, mate.
I know. And I was on my watch. I remember to wear my watch for usually I take it off when I get home. But I did give myself a little bit of boundaries left there, but I did it when I got to put it up. So I'm going to do it after this. Ladies and gentlemen, keep me in tune. But let's not waste too much time because I'm very aware. I've been very aware that everyone keeps telling me, Nick, it's supposed to be 7 to 7:30. I get a lot of comments. And Nick, you have not stayed inside 7 to 7:30. I'm like 1 for 10, Sandy. So I'm going to try to keep it inside of that tonight. But we do have, we do have the ability to go a little bit later, but I really don't like to. I want to try to keep it inside of it. We have a couple of things we talk about, but the big theme that we're talking about this part in August is, are you ready? Okay, and I want to unpack that and talk about that a little bit with you. And we have a little bit of a stream starter that I could have used around Are You Ready? And it's really asking people and engaging them to, are they ready to start their transformation? Are they ready to go on their wellness journey, which is going to allow them to feel more and confident? So this doesn't only go along with healthy living a healthy active lifestyle, but also like a mindful and a mindset lifestyle where you're ready to go to the beach, see yourself at the beach, and be okay with that, and not feel like you need to be covered in 35 layers, right? Yeah. So what do you think around this? When I love to ask questions and I like to talk, which everyone knows, but wouldn't do this if I didn't. I know, as they laugh, it's a kind of a joke. They talk too much, but Sandy, what do you think about that? We talked before a little bit about boundaries and about being ready inside yourself Okay, but
I
what do
guess,
you think?
Nick, one of the biggest questions people might be asking is, how do I know I'm ready to affect a change? What is it that I see? What is it that I feel? Or what should I be looking for to know that I want this change? Can I share with everybody that nobody treats you the way you don't want to be treated? And on a subconscious level, we all have a boundary, or a line in the sand is a really nice, easy way to share it. Whilst people are on the right side of that line and they're treating us as they are, then we allow that to happen, and we don't buck the system too much, and we don't feel frustration or depression or a want to run away. However, when somebody steps over that line and treats us in a manner that we don't like, then we get frustrated, we react, or we step into the background of our life and we hide. And how do we hide? We don't speak up. We don't let people know that they're hurting us or frustrating us, and we go with the flow. So we don't use our voice to share how we're feeling. Now, how do I know this? Because that was for me for 52 years. I stood in the background of my life and I gave my decision-making power away to others. I was a defence spouse for some 30-odd years, and I was that defence spouse that went with the flow, because I made a commitment to my then husband to be his partner throughout this. We joined the defence as a family. So consequently, I put all my dreams on the back burner. And it wasn't until I got much older and I was in corporate land that I started to feel the frustration and the depression and the sinking back further into my life, that I thought, this needs to stop. I need to affect some change. But where did I get to before I affected that change? I had somebody that was extremely close to me that made me aware of my poor behaviour. And that's how this plays out, ladies and gentlemen. It plays out in poor behaviours. It plays out in unresourceful behaviours. Now, that unresourceful behaviour can be, you go and fill the car and you buy a Mars bar, and you know that you really don't want to eat it, but you eat it anyway. Or you know that you should be having that 6 or 7 hours sleep of a night time, but you're lucky if you get 4. And then, not to say the whole water thing, the whole hydration thing. We all know that our bodies are 80 to 90% fluid. But how many of us actually care for that and really value that? And that's how we self-sabotage. Yeah, I'm with you, Nick. That's
I have another one. I have another 2-liter bottle around here somewhere else.
Yeah. This is how we self-sabotage. We hurt ourselves to stop the pain that others are affecting. Now, when I say others are affecting, remember that nobody can make you feel anything. You choose to feel.
I say that all the time to people.
The environment definitely affects us, but it only affects us the way that we want it to affect us. Now, there was a lass on the feed today, Victor, I think it is, and she was saying how she's really missed her corporate wardrobe. And today she dressed in her corporate wardrobe, but then she come home and she was ever so thankful that she had the challenge, because she got out of her gear, got out of her depressed state and went for a walk. Now, can I encourage each and every one of you, if you're feeling right here, right now, after hearing this, that you're at that point where you need to affect this change, then put your head up, look to your future and take a few steps. Because with movement comes motivation. With movement comes momentum. With momentum comes motivation. But don't try and eat the whole pie at once, because you'll disappoint.
Dive in. Yeah.
You'll disappoint. Make small changes. And this is one of the things I've noticed in the group over the last month around the whole getting ready theme. We had the theme where we were doing squats and things like that for a week. You know, now we've gone from that to our water and our walk, right? We're getting ourselves ready all the time. So the key is for the next couple of weeks is to understand, what's the change I want to affect? What's the value of that change I want to affect for me and for the other people that are close within my realm, within my proximity? Because remember, that proximity is power. And proximity is your key. If you have a good support network around you and you have a strong boundary. Now, we can set boundaries throughout our life as much as what you want to. But you know the only person that's responsible for those boundaries?
You.
That's it. Turn the gun back and shoot yourself, because it's all
right.
about you.
Every time you point your finger at someone, you got 3 pointing back at you. That's right. You said a couple of things that I just really want to unpack real quickly, okay? And you talked about, and it's something that I do, I think everyone does, and it's that reverting, okay? When you reach a really difficult stage, and I'm fortunate that I have people that call me out on it, and Dan Simone does for me. There's people my wife does, but when I start to get into that, this is getting really hard, and it's the hard slog. You really have to push through, or it's the hard part, and you're like, I'm just gonna maybe I'm gonna revert back to an easier behavior. You're going into that, like you said, that bad behavior, right?
I ask you a question. How often do you reflect?
I'm constantly reflecting on myself. But when I meditate, but let me finish this, because this is what leads me to my question is, I know when I'm doing it, okay? But you said earlier, call people. I wanted to ask you, if you're in that bad behavior, you see someone else in it. Like I see myself, and I have people that call me out in it, and I know when I'm in it, but maybe I just need that like little bit of a, to get. He's right. I got to get going. Let me just do it. I had that moment today with Dan Simone. Okay. But how do you get around, or when you create that boundary? Okay. And you're in that boundary. How do you feel like it's the right way? Because you do it a lot, and you were just about to do it just then, to call someone out on their journey. Like you call someone. You say to me, Nick, can I challenge you on this? Nick, can I ask you this question? Explain to me about that, because some people don't. And I'm thinking at the verge of getting people really annoyed. It's very Australian to just be like, they'll be right, let them go, and not push someone. So how do you do that?
Nick, the one thing I've asked you every time I've done this is permission.
Yep.
Nick, do you mind if I challenge you? Nick, do you mind if I ask you this? I'm asking your permission to do what I'm about to do. That's what advocacy is about. And I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm asking you a question. Now, I asked you, how often do you reflect? But I didn't ask you what you reflected on.
I reflect. Now, just to answer that question quickly, I reflect on every conversation I have. Okay, whether it be because I'm in, people that don't know, I'm in sales. Okay, so every sales interaction that I have. Okay, interactions with my kids, interactions with my wife. Okay, after I do it, and asking myself, now I ask myself specific questions depending on who the person is. When it is my kids, I'm gonna unleash a little Nick real quick. When it comes to my kids, I had a really good line, and I told Dan the other day. I think it might have been Dan or his cat. Okay, I can't remember where it came from. I think it actually came from Bluey, the TV show Bluey. Okay, the father gets in it like a what are those Chinese fortune cookies, and it said a flower will always bloom again, but you will never get a chance to be a child again. So whenever I have an interaction with my son or my daughter, and I think to myself, did I really need to be that hard, or did I really need to stop that? Am I taking away from what could be an increase in their childhood? Now I don't want to take too much from you, because this is not about me, and I could go on all night. But
childhood stop?
Go ahead.
When does childhood stop? When do you stop?
I think that's a good question, but I think stopping of childhood, in my opinion, is when you choose it to. When you start to take yourself too seriously.
Can I say to you, life is this long, this long, this long, or this long. None of us know that. Why
Yep.
would you want to live a serious life when you can live a joyful, childlike life where you accept responsibility, but you don't have care in the world? There is
Yeah.
an child that lives in each and every one of us, and we continue to put them in the closet, lock them away, and not let them out because you're taught when you turn 18, you've got to be an adult. You've got to step up and be, be mature and take responsibility and accept accountability. And then you step into the workplace and, workplaces are really serious. We can't do all this sort of thing. Right? I'm saying to you, take the lid off that, kick it in the bucket and let the child come out because the child is the authentic Nick or the authentic Sandy.
Yep. Yep.
You look at your children and you look what they do when they're in a crowd of people. They dance, they sing, they're happy, they're not taking life too seriously. And how often do you hear friends and family and adults say, I wish I could do that. I used to do that when I was a child. Well, the question I pose is, when does your childhood stop? Because I'm 58 and my childhood has not stopped. Mine started 7 years ago when I decided to step up, to stand up, and to accept responsibility for every single one of my results. And when I hear you say, Nick, that you reflect on everything and that you ask yourself questions.
I take myself too seriously sometimes.
You need to ask yourself better questions, because if you've got Dan Simone that's still checking you for your behaviour, then you're asking yourself pretty poor questions, mate. Because you should.
I'll be the first one to say I have no problem to say I ask the wrong questions, and I think it goes along with, like you said, I probably do take myself too seriously at times as well, and I push. Yeah, I do. It's an interesting thing. What else is really interesting about this is, okay, yeah, it's like you said, you hit on a couple of things that are dead set on, and one of them was, it's when you're 18. We're way off where I want. Remember, I said before. I said, Sadie, I have a framework of what we're gonna talk about, and we're gonna probably get there. Threw that out the window. Anyways, moving. So, and that's why I like this, just to have its thing. You said about, like, when you turn 18, you got to have a job and this, that, and the other thing. And it's a very good point. We ask our 17, 18-year-old kids. This has nothing to do with health and wellness now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and I'm taking off my 16 years of teaching and multiple degrees. Okay, in teaching, but we ask kids that are 17, 18 years old to make a choice in their life about what they want to do and be in their life for the rest of their life.
Nick, can I share with you, we do it much earlier than 17 or 18. If you look at our high schools these days, we've got kids going into year 10 when they're 16 years old, 15, 16 years old. They're going in there and they're choosing subjects that they want to learn that will affect what happens in the future. Take the lid off it, guys. Yeah. We learn our entire life. Learn something at school that you feel that you need to take forward in that moment. Nick, you're still studying. I'm still studying. Right. There's people out there that are older than what I am, still studying and absolutely loving it. We never get to a point where we know everything, and nor should we, because that's why we're dead.
Yep.
Right. So take the lid off it. Enjoy the learning. Enjoy the whole thing. Let the kids be kids, because they can get away with it while they're knee-high to a grasshopper. But they can't once they get as tall as you or me, or once they get as old as you and me, because society teaches us we need to be something different. Well, can I say to you, it's time that we all stepped up, we set our own boundaries, held each other accountable for those boundaries, and enjoyed life for what it is, because it's like a clock. It goes tick-tock, tick-tock. Only difference is we don't know when our life clock is going to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm again. I try to keep myself aware of the time, and we have less than 10 minutes as of right now because I'm gonna wrap. I have a little bit of a wrap up to do, but I wanted to go into like boundaries and comfort zone, and your confidence and your comfort zone. Okay, there's got to be a line there between what's your comfort zone and your confident zone. Right? Do you agree with that, or do you think I'm going out on a limb?
Comfort zone will often come with complacency and habit. It is just something that happens. You don't need to think about it anymore. It's very autonomous, and it really doesn't give you anything in return. Now, there's a false sense of security in that and a false sense of confidence, because that's when you fall into the trap of, I know it all. So you become complacent. But what we do as human beings, because we are driven by a sense of comfort, but we also love uncertainty, think of it as a large wheel. If we get too much comfort in one area of our life, we actually grab a stick and stick it in the wheel to stop the wheel spinning, and we cause chaos. Why do we cause chaos in that area? Because it then creates the uncertainty, the sense of challenge that we need to step up the game. Now, you think about it, on a weight loss journey, we're in that comfort zone and we eat and we eat and we eat and we eat until the summer comes and we go to put the cozy on or we go to put the shorts on, and then we go, oh my God, I can't do them up. And then what do? We cause chaos, and we throw all the things out of the cupboard that we shouldn't eat, and we take up this big exercise program and we lose all the weight, and all of a sudden, look at that, I'm back in my shorts. But then what we don't do is keep that level of growth exciting. When you start to get comfortable and complacent with your exercise program, that's the time you need to step it up a gear. You need to walk a little bit further. You need to walk a little bit further in a shorter period of time. You need to lift five kilograms heavier or something like that. You need something else to just lightly challenge it. Because whilst you can remain challenged, you're engaged. Then you're not being complacent and you haven't got a false sense of, I know it all. And you continue the confidence continues to grow because you're in control of that challenge that you're setting. You've got clarity on where you want to go. And can I share with you that having clarity around where you want to go is not always around you having to improve or having to be better.
In another direction, yeah.
Having a challenge and having a goal of where you want to be can simply be about you growing as a person. Within everything that you have now, you just do it a little bit more efficiently, or you do it with a different process, or you do it with a skipping your step as opposed to an attitude that you drag around like a heavy school bag. So it doesn't always have to be that you have to improve yourself. It can be about improving a process. It can be about you learning how to do something better. But that doesn't necessarily mean you as an individual have to improve. We all have this timeline, Nick, and it's a metaphoric timeline. But it's one where we go through life. Now, you think about it as a dad, right? You see your little ones born and they're into everything. They're full of curiosity. And then they get so much curiosity that then they're learning so much that they then plateau for a little bit and they put all of what they've learned into action. But then what do? They become a little bit complacent with that, so they go on another learning curve. And then they plateau. and another learning curve, and they plateau. And we do this all the way throughout our life. We do this stepping from being a baby in arms to a toddler, from being a toddler to somebody that's in daycare, from being from daycare to preschool, to school, to high school, to college, to the workplace, and then to the parent, where we jump on the other side of the line. What we're doing all the way along, you think about the first time you brought your eldest child home, that whole first 3 months was a learning curve for you and Mel. A whole learning curve. And then you had your daughter. Well, that's just a whole different learning curve again.
Absolutely. That child broke the mold.
Now, I say to you, at each time those learning curves have come along, you've grown, but you haven't necessarily changed as a person. You've just learned how to do things differently.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And that's what we're doing here with this Get Ready. What we're doing is we're just looking at different ways that we can prepare our body, our temple, in readiness for the change that we want to affect.
And it's a mental change as well as a physical change. As I was saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be prepared in yourself, not only mentally, but, you know, I mean, like, you know, not only physically, but mentally. Because when I said this, you know, earlier, and I said, you know, when you walk out onto the beach, okay, you know, come summertime, or, you know, you put your we call it a bathing suit in America. So, you know, you put your bathing costume on. It's kind of funny. It's still funny to me to hear that, you know, for me to say like a costume is meant for Halloween. You know what I mean? Like, it's a dress-up party thing. Anyway, when you put that on, okay, like, are you prepared to put that on and walk out, you know, onto the beach without covering, you know, being covered up? And that's a mental thing, right? Say it out real quickly. I'm going to give you 2 minutes because I want a minute and I don't want to go over. Okay, how can you get yourself mentally prepared for that? For something like that.
How you can get yourself mentally prepared for that is to embrace the person that you are right here, right now. And if you know that there's some changes that you want to make, then you need to make a commitment, and that commitment is around awareness. The courage to have awareness, to find out where you are right now and where you want to be on the 1st of October or the 31st of October, whatever date that is that you set, and then build the bridge. So you have where you are today, where you want to be there, and it's all about the journey of you building the bridge, which is the steps. I'm getting ready. And it can be as simple as, if you have a photo of yourself in that cozy 12 months ago, 2 years ago, or when you were happy in that cozy, take it, blow it up and put it on your wardrobe door. Put it on your bathroom mirror, somewhere that you see it every single day, that it keeps you focused. And apart from that, the one thing I encourage you to do, reflect, and ask yourself, who do I need to be? What do I need to do to gain the result I want to gain?
Very good. Thank you. And in 2 minutes, you are amazing. Sandy, I love you. Thank you so much for coming on. I always look forward to the third Tuesday of the month, and I'm really excited that, you know, we have you part of this group. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't hooked up with Sandy and you would like to, feel free to message her. I'm going to fix the tag in this group. I'm sorry, apologies that I came on as Katarina tonight. And for those of you that were excited to see Kat, I'm really sorry that you didn't get Kat. Big news coming out, Sandy, on the 24th, so next Monday. Big news in the group. So make sure that you guys are ready for that. 8 o'clock, 8 or 8:30. I got to check. I think it's 8:30 on Monday. Be prepared for the event coming out. Okay, so big news on the 24th. There, and I know you'll be on for that, Sandy, because you're on for all of our announcements. You're amazing. We love to have you in this group. Okay. But everybody else, guys, make sure that you're on for that. Make sure that you're ready to take the next step, because we're asking you now, are you ready to get to the beach We're going to help you get there mentally, physically, okay, and give you the guides, but you guys have to be the one to take the first step, okay? So let's get on your journey. Let's get your mental health going. Sandra Bartlett, thank you very much for coming as usual. You're amazing. I love you.
The one last thing I want to leave you with, though, is something that's extremely important that you do every single day. Every single day. Wake up and smile, guys, because it really makes a difference. And you're looking at that smile as much as somebody else is. Your smile, your responsibility. So own it, wear it, but most importantly, share it, because it really does make the difference.
I was going to ask you to say that. I love when you say that. And Sandy, your smile is so contagious and it makes me smile and I love it. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you there. I'm going to leave it there. Next Monday, 18th, I think it's 8:30. We're going with 8:30. I'm going to make the call right now. It's 8:30 on Monday. Big news coming out from the group. Make sure you're there. Put it in your calendars. We'll see you then. Sandra Bartlett, thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out.
Awesome.